What is up, Nerd Nation? Clouded Journey here with my review of Old Man Logan. Just a heads up, there might be some minor spoilers in this review. I try to keep them all to a minimum. There are some images that will show some things from the comic, but I try not to put anything that really reveals too much that happens in the comic or that's crucial to the story. So what can you say about Old Man Logan? Written by Mark Millar, who's an incredibly violent and sometimes messed up writer. He really likes to put his characters through the ringer, and Wolverine does not escape his wrath in this. It's pretty incredible what happens to him throughout the story, and all the other superheroes in the Marvel Universe, really. It takes place 50 years in the future, where basically what happened was all the villains realized, hey, we outnumber these heroes like 4-1. Why don't we just band together and kill them all once and for all, and then we can rule this world? So that's exactly what happens, and the heroes fall. So basically everyone is dead. You got Spider-Man's dead, Captain America. Most heroes are dead. Wolverine survived, and we find him as like this old farmer, struggling farmer. He has a little family, and these Hulk-looking hick people are showing up and harassing him and his family, and he's refusing to fight. He says he'll never draw his claws anymore, and he's just clearly really broken, and you have no idea why or what happened, because they come in and they're talking smack and they're making threats, and he just sits there and takes it. So you know if Wolverine is going to back down from a fight that he's not the man he used to be. You get a look at the world as it is, and America has been split up between a bunch of villains, so like Doctor Doom, the Red Skull. The Abomination had one section, but you see it's been taken over by the Hulk. So the Hulk has kind of become a villain, potentially. We don't really know. All we know is his children are a bunch of assholes, and they are causing trouble. He's kind of down on his payments for his farm. He hasn't had a bad crop or something. So they say, we're gonna come and we're gonna kill you if you don't get us paid pretty soon, and we're gonna kill your whole family. So who shows up but Hawkeye to bail him out? Now Hawkeye's blind. He's been spared. He doesn't know why. He said maybe because he used to be a villain, or maybe they just thought he was too small time to really even worry about him and just kind of left him. But he survived, and he's kind of a pseudo-criminal type guy, and he's got a delivery job that he wants Wolverine to come on with him. Wolverine keeps saying, that's not my name anymore. I'm Logan now. Wolverine died a long time ago. Hawkeye has a pretty sweet thing going on, too. He's kind of like Daredevil. He can smell guys and hear their heartbeats and stuff and still pick guys off pretty good. He just apparently can't drive across the desert. So, I don't know. He kind of just wants Logan there because I think he wants to bring the Wolverine back out of Logan. But like all of us, Wolverine needs to get paid, so he takes the job. He says, sure, I'll do the driving, but I'm not going to do any fighting for you. So the next big chunk of the story is Hawkeye and Logan driving across country, traversing the now villain-run land of America. So it's really interesting. You see some interesting people along the way. You meet some new characters who are related to old characters. You meet old characters who have survived and somewhat changed, and you get to see each region has its own sort of history and things that have happened, and Mark Millar does a really good job at exploring these different places. What would it be like if a villain ran a different area? What would it be like if the villains did win? And what would it look like? And it's pretty bleak for the most part, but it's pretty interesting too, and you see a lot of interesting characters and meet some really interesting people along the way. Steve McNiven is the artist, and I think he just absolutely kills it. He does great detail. Everything looks really good. One thing I find with dystopia stories is in movies and sometimes in comics as well, the world can look really bland because everything's kind of dead. But he really is able to bring the world to life. It's a dead, bleak world, but it still looks really interesting. It's filled with interesting characters, and you don't feel like, okay, you're reading it and it's just really boring and bland, and everything looks the same. So yeah, he does a great job. You can see some of his panels here. I got them up on the slideshow. just really dynamic. He does really good job with violence and everything, which, if you know Mark Miller, he's a very violent writer, and there's a lot of violence in this book, but McNiven really brings it to life, and it just looks amazing. I think this is my favorite Wolverine story, even more than the Chris Claremont Frank Miller story, which is also a really great read. I just read that again recently. But yeah, I love seeing how Wolverine kind of deals in this like totally screwed up Marvel universe. When you find out the reason that Wolverine is so broken, man, it is good. Just a really interesting story, definitely worth a read. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's really good. Mark Miller, I find, is a little bit hit or miss. Maybe I've just been reading kind of a little bit too much of his stuff, but this is a definite hit. It's really interesting. All 8 issues are good. The characters are good, interesting. The universe he sort of has built is interesting, and definitely worth checking out. So if you've read it, let me know what you think. If you agree or if you disagree, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Alright, thanks for listening. Peace.